Nice work. And once we've got the index.html, of course, now we'd want to set up the toggle functionality. Because at the moment I can click all day long and nothing is happening. And in order to do that, we already know that in the index.html, we have index.js. So we're referencing index.js, and index.js has the import of toggle cart. So we had one for the sidebar. That one was displaying the sidebar. So now, of course, we need to do the same thing for the cart. However, if you're checking out the source, you'll notice that the path is source, then cart, and then toggle cart. And I did that because cart has a lot of its own functionality, and I think it's easier to work with a project if we're splitting this up. So yeah, technically we could have jammed everything in a source. There's nothing special about these files. They still have imports and functionality and everything of that nature. However, I think it's easier to manage your project if you're splitting up the functionality in a separate folder. So what we're looking for is toggle cart. And in here, again, we have the get element import, which allows us to select the element. And then we also have open cart functionality, which we are exporting. Because if you remember from the setup video, I was telling you that I need to have these placeholders, otherwise you'll have the errors. Now there's no functionality in here, and of course I'll talk about it why we have the function, but at the moment we just have a placeholder function by the name of OpenCart. And what we're looking for are three things: the overlay, the cart button, as well as the close. Very similar to our navbar. So const, and by the way, I can close the sidebar, I guess, cart overlay. Then we'll use our get element, of course, and then I'm looking for cart overlay. Beautiful. Let's copy and paste. As far as the values, we can just delete these two. And in here, I'm going to go with close cart btn. And the class that I'm looking for is cart close. And then, of course, I have the toggle cart button. So that's my cart icon. Toggle, cart, and then btn. And the class that I'm looking for is toggle cart. So let's delete this, toggle, and then hyphen cart. Once I have selected all three things, and if I check the console, if I don't have any errors, then of course we can proceed. And I don't, which means that all three elements are there. But just to reiterate my point, if, for example, I'm going to be looking for cart closes, I'll right away have my uncaught error. Please check cart closes selector. No such element exists. So that just right away gives me a clue that something is wrong. Okay, good. And what do we need to do? Well, toggle cart button. Once I click on it, I would want to display the cart. How do I do that? I add the class of show to a overlay, correct? So toggle cart button. I'm looking for add event listener. I'm listening for click event. I have my callback function. And in here, I go with cart overlay, then class list, and then we're adding a class of show. Beautiful. And then I'm going to copy and paste. And of course, now I just need to change it around where this is going to be a close cart button. Then instead of adding, I'm removing the class of show. And if everything is correct, once I click, notice now I display the cart. Awesome. Like I said, very similar to our navbar. Now, the only difference in here is going to be that not only we are importing the whole module in, for example, index.js, and you'll see also in other pages as well. I also have here the function. I have open cart function. So why do we have that function and what we're going to place in the function? Well, if we take a look at our project, you'll notice that when I click on this cart icon on a product, whether that is in a products page or in a home page, both of these times, I'm adding automatically a product to a cart. And once I do, not only I want to add a product to a cart, I also want to open up the sidebar. So I want to do it programmatically, not only when I click on my cart button, but also once I click on this cart icon. So yeah, there's going to be more functionality, of course, eventually in the cart function, not the function that we're about to set up, not the cart open, but the general add item to the cart function. But one of the functionalities in that function is going to be this open cart one. So in the open cart, what I would want is simply just have this cart overlay out of show. So we'll just run this function programmatically when we're adding this item to the cart. At the moment, I understand it doesn't make much sense since we're not running it anywhere, but eventually we will use the spacer functionality since you can see that we are exporting. So that should do it for the navbar and for the cart. And probably let me talk about the last global import, which is this one, which is this setup cart. So we have toggle sidebar, we have toggle cart, which both of them, of course, make sense. But we also need to keep in mind that as we're navigating from page to page, as we're going from, for example, products, or we go to about, each and every time, I would still want to have access to what is happening in my cart, how many items I have. So also, once I click on the item, I would want to have this functionality. And this is where the setup cart function comes into play. Now, this is going to be probably the most hardest one because there's a lot of functionality and there's a lot of moving pieces in there. That's why I'll leave it for last. For the time being, you can notice that setup cart is importing some stuff and it is exporting this add to cart. So that's the function that will use this open cart, the one that we just set up. And at the moment, as you can see, nothing is happening. And in this file, I will do everything from scratch because it is highly important for me so you understand everything that is happening here. So I'll do all the selections, everything from the scratch. But again, since I would want that functionality in each and every page, that's why I have to import this. Because this function is going to be the one that sets up the items. Like I said, it will display how many items I currently have in a cart. It will add this functionality where I can always change it. And the purpose of this function is that I can persist that functionality in between the pages. That's why it is imported in the index.js. At the moment, it doesn't do much since everything is hard-coded. We haven't set up the functionality. We will do, in fact, this one last, but that's why we will import in all our pages the setup cart, because eventually in this file, in this module, we will set up whole functionality for our cart. And of course, it is important that that functionality is added in each and every page. Hopefully this is clear. We can toggle sidebar, we can toggle cart. Eventually, we'll have all our functionality as far as cart in the setup cart. And now, of course, we can move on to our next topic.